Brilliance is overrated. To get truly, outrageously wealthy, sometimes all you need is a profoundly stupid idea and the audacity to sell it. We've compiled 49 of the dumbest, most useless, and downright bizarre discoveries that somehow turned their creators into millionaires. Prepare to question everything you thought you knew about success, because these stories are proof that genius is often found at the bottom of the barrel. 1. Let's talk about pre-ripped jeans. For generations, a hole in your pants was a sign of hard work or impending poverty. Then, some marketing executive, presumably after a 3-martini lunch, had a revelation. What if we sold broken things for more money? And so, the fashion industry began charging a premium for jeans that looked like they'd survived a fight with a lawnmower. Consumers eagerly paid double to achieve the aesthetic of a destitute farmhand without any of the actual labor. It's the ultimate capitalist flex, paying someone else to destroy your clothes so you can look effortlessly cool. Somewhere, your grandfather, who earned every single tear in his work pants, is just staring into the distance, completely baffled by it all. 2. The squatty potty proves that humanity's collective brain can be short-circuited by two things: digestive health and mythical creatures. On its own, a plastic stool designed to improve your bathroom posture is a tough sell. But then came the ad. A majestic unicorn, pooping rainbow, soft-serve ice cream. Suddenly, the entire nation was obsessed with achieving optimal colonic alignment. This bizarre marketing masterpiece launched a $175 million empire built on a plastic pedestal. The lesson here is clear. If your invention is a little weird, just add a magical animal with gastrointestinal issues. You won't just move product, you'll be spinning rainbow-colored bowel movements into solid gold. 3. There was a time when your car was just a car. Then came the car stash, a giant, fluffy mustache for your front grille, and suddenly your Toyota Camry had the personality of a 1920s strongman. This absurdly brilliant idea turned thousands of mundane vehicles into ironic statements on wheels. The founder, Justin Kennedy, masterfully tied its launch to the Movember charity movement, giving people a noble excuse to indulge in this automotive foolishness. He sold tens of thousands, proving that there's a deep, untapped market for people who want their minivan to look like it's about to ask you for a handlebar wax. What's next? A giant monocle for the headlight and a tiny top hat for the radio antenna? I wouldn't bet against it. 4. Candy Crush. Saga isn't a game. It's a masterclass in psychological warfare waged against bored people on the bus. King Digital figured out how to weaponize our most basic impulses, creating a digital addiction loop fueled by bright colors and the dopamine hit of clearing a row of jelly beans. Then they introduced the Master Stroke. For just 99 cents, you could buy your way out of frustration. At its zenith, this simple game was vacuuming up $6 million a day. Every time you matched 3 little lemon drops, you were basically funding a down payment on someone's yacht. It's the perfect business model. Create a problem, sell the solution, and get rich from humanity's collective impatience. 5. Behold, the pinnacle of human ingenuity, dehydrated water. For decades, this gag gift has been a staple in novelty shops, preying on the curious. It's a can, and inside is, well, nothing. The instructions mockingly tell you to just add water. You're not buying a product, you're buying the punchline. You're paying for the physical manifestation of a loophole in logic. The true genius wasn't inventing a product, but realizing you could sell the absence of a product if you packaged it with enough wit. It's the purest form of capitalism, creating a demand for something that doesn't exist, and then selling the concept for $5 plus shipping. 6. Ty Warner managed to convince an entire generation of adults that small bean-filled animals were the new stock market. It was a plush-filled pyramid scheme fueled by suburban hysteria. People treated Beanie Babies like precious gems, sealing them in plastic containers and storing them in closets that became high-stakes vaults. They genuinely believed these mass-produced toys would one day pay for their kids' college education. Of course, the market imploded, leaving millions with nothing but sacks of worthless pellets. But not before Ty Warner himself became a billionaire. He didn't sell toys. He sold speculative mania, packaged in the shape of a cute bear. Somewhere out there, a Princess Diana bear is fermenting in a Tupperware coffin of shattered dreams. 7. For centuries, cats have cultivated an aura of mystery and aloof superiority. And then Archie McPhee came along and ruined it all with an inflatable unicorn horn. For a mere $7, you can purchase the ultimate tool of feline humiliation, transforming your proud hunter into a mythical creature, if only for a few seconds before it plots your demise. This created a perfectly balanced ecosystem of mild animal cruelty and viral social media content. The human gets a laugh, the company gets rich, and the cat gets its revenge by patiently waiting to leave a hairball in your most expensive shoe. It's a win-win-win, depending on your definition of winning. 8. Forget Silicon Valley. The real, unadulterated American dream is apparently built on a foundation of dog poop. Matt Boswell looked at the one task every dog owner despises and saw a golden opportunity. His company, The Pet Butler, became a $1 million enterprise by doing the one thing nobody wants to do: scooping the poop. He's not just a guy with a shovel. He's a savior of Saturday mornings and clean shoes. It's disgusting, it's unglamorous, and it's absolutely brilliant. It proves that you don't need a world-changing app to get rich. You just need to find a universal inconvenience and have a stomach strong enough to monetize it. 9. After the Fyre Festival spectacularly imploded in a glorious blaze of influencer tears and cheese sandwiches, you'd think everything associated with it would be toxic waste. You'd be wrong. The U.S. Marshals Service later auctioned off the confiscated merchandise, hats, hoodies, and wristbands from the disaster zone. People paid hundreds of dollars for a piece of this legendary failure, turning a symbol of incompetence into a must-have ironic trophy. It proves that in modern America, even your most catastrophic failure can be repackaged and sold at a premium. It's the ultimate triumph of marketing over reality, where the memory of a scam is more valuable than the scam itself. 10. The selfie stick is a product that exists for one reason: to help you take a picture of yourself from a slightly more flattering angle, while simultaneously announcing to the world, "I have no friends available to perform this simple task." Canadian inventor Wayne Fromm patented this metal wand of solitude, and then watched as every major tourist destination on Earth became a hazardous forest of flailing poles. It was an instant phenomenon, turning picturesque landscapes into obstacle courses. Fromm didn't just sell a product. He sold a solution to a problem nobody knew they had, and in the process, made a fortune from our collective vanity. 11. In the 90s, an entire generation of children was given a profound lesson in failure, all thanks to a tiny, pixelated blob on a keychain. The Tamagotchi, invented by Aki Maeda, was a digital pet that existed in a constant state of neediness. It beeped for food, it beeped for attention, and then, inevitably, it beeped to announce its own demise. Over 80 million of these digital dependents were sold, creating a worldwide wave of childhood anxiety and neglect. While kids everywhere were mourning their starved or poop-drowned pets, the executives at Bandai were watching their profits grow up big, strong, and incredibly healthy. 12. For over 60 years, Uncle Milton's ant farm has been teaching children a valuable lesson. It's fun to watch others work. Milton Levine's brilliant invention was basically a tiny transparent prison for insects, sold as entertainment. He sold over 20 million units by convincing parents it was educational and convincing kids it was cool to be the omnipotent overlord of a tiny ant civilization. The ants toiled endlessly, building tunnels and carrying sand, with no salary and no days off. Levine, meanwhile, monetized their free labor and retired a millionaire, proving that the best business model is one where your entire workforce is trapped behind plastic and paid in sugar water. 13. A company called BarkBox figured out that modern dog owners have a deep, gnawing fear that their pet is not living its best life. Their solution? A monthly subscription box filled with mystery toys and treats. They brilliantly tapped into the human desire for curated experiences and projected it onto creatures that are perfectly happy with a discarded sock. Revenue has soared past $500 million, all based on the premise that your dog has a sophisticated palate and gets bored with its old toys. In reality, they created a subscription service for the owner's guilt, and it turns out guilt is a very profitable business. 14. You know those weird, flailing inflatable tube men that dance with soulless abandon in front of used car lots? They weren't born in a marketing meeting. They started life as an art project for the 1996 Olympic Games. Inventor Doran Gezet created his Air Dancer as a piece of performance art. But the world of commerce saw its true potential to be the most bizarre and hypnotic advertising tool ever conceived. Now, these manic, windsock-like figures are a staple of American retail, their frantic gyrations luring customers in for a low financing deal. Every time the wind blows, Gazet's royalty checks get a little bigger. 15. Dogecoin was never supposed to be a real thing. It was a joke, created by two software engineers to poke fun at the absurdity of Bitcoin. They took a picture of a confused-looking Shiba Inu, slapped some Comic Sans font on it, and launched it into the world as a parody. But then the internet did what it does best. It took the joke way too seriously. Fueled by memes and billionaire tweets, this literal joke currency exploded, at one point reaching a market capitalization of over $90 billion. It's definitive proof that we are living in a financial simulation where the punchlines are now worth more than most countries. 16. In the ultimate display of suburban fantasy, a company called Rent a Chicken allows you to cosplay as a farmer for a summer. They deliver a portable coop, 2 egg-laying hens, and all the supplies you need to live out your farm-to-table dream. You get fresh eggs for your avocado toast and endless content for your Instagram feed. And the best part? When the novelty wears off and you realize chickens are actually a lot of work, they just come and take them back. It's all of the pastoral cred with none of the long-term commitment. A genius business model built on selling a temporary, idyllic lifestyle. 17. The Chia Pet is a monument to the power of a stupidly catchy jingle. For decades, Joseph P. made a fortune selling terracotta animals that grow a coat of green fuzz. Let's be clear, this is a decorative planter that looks like a Muppet undergoing chemotherapy. But by bombarding late-night television with the infectious chant of "Ch-ch-ch-chia," he embedded this bizarre product into the American psyche. People who had never successfully kept a plant alive suddenly felt a desperate urge to own a sprouting clay sheep. It's pure, unadulterated marketing genius, turning horticultural nonsense into a multi-million-dollar empire. 18. In 2008, as the global financial system was teetering on the brink of collapse, Joel Comm was busy getting rich off fart noises. He created an app for the brand new iPhone called iFart. That's all it did. It had a soundboard of different flatulence effects. While Wall Street was in a full-blown panic, iFart shot to the top of the App Store charts, making millions. It's a humbling reminder that no matter how sophisticated we think we are, our collective sense of humor will always find its way back to the gutter. And if you can monetize that, you're basically immune to recessions. 19. When Otto Frederick Rohvetter first pitched his automatic bread slicing machine, people laughed at him. "Who's too lazy to slice their own bread?" they scoffed. It was seen as the height of unnecessary invention. Then, in 1928, his machine hit the market and the world collectively shut its mouth and opened its wallet. The invention was so revolutionary, so universally convenient, that it literally became the gold standard by which all future innovations are measured. Rohvetter didn't just become wealthy, he became a proverb. And all because he saw a future where we didn't have to risk our fingers for a sandwich. 20. The clapper was a masterpiece of late-night infomercial technology, promising a life of godlike power over your light switches. With 2 sharp claps, you could plunge a room into darkness like a disappointed theater director. Inventor Carlisle Reddick essentially hot-wired a microphone to a switch and sold millions to people who found flicking their finger to be an unbearable physical exertion. It was the peak of convenience culture. Of course, this also meant your lights would flicker uncontrollably during a thunderstorm, a heated argument, or any movie with a round of applause. But hey, a sale is a sale. And every accidental strobe light effect just padded the pockets of a man who monetized laziness. 21. For decades, mothers warned us that eating raw cookie dough was a one-way ticket to a very unpleasant conversation with a toilet. Then, some brilliant entrepreneurs asked, what if we just take out the salmonella and sell it for $5 a scoop? Edible cookie dough cafes were born, and suddenly lines of adults were wrapping around the block to pay a premium for the forbidden thrill of their childhood. They removed the raw eggs, added a mountain of sprinkles, and successfully marketed nostalgia by the spoonful. It turns out you can make an incredible amount of dough by selling, well, dough. The risk may be gone, but the profit margins are still dangerously high. 22. Someone, somewhere, had a moment of diabolical genius. What if we made an air freshener that smells like bacon? This simple idea turned thousands of miserable commutes into a form of delicious psychological torture. Drivers found themselves marinating in the intoxicating aroma of a breakfast they weren't eating, trapped in traffic with a phantom craving. It's a product that provides zero nutritional value but generates an infinite desire, all while the inventor's bank account sizzled with profits. 23. Just when you thought the Snuggie had reached the peak of its fleece-draped absurdity, they introduced the Snuggie for dogs. This product is a fleece robe with sleeves, designed for an animal that has 4 legs, no opposable thumbs, and absolutely zero use for sleeves. But that didn't stop millions of pet owners from buying them. The dog, of course, has no idea what's happening and would rather chew on the box it came in. But the human gets a cute photo, and the company All-Star Products managed to fetch millions more from their blanket empire. It's a perfect business model. Sell a useless product for a customer who can't complain. 24. The koosh ball looked like someone had tried to build a sea urchin out of rubber bands and then gave up halfway through. Yet, inventor Scott Stillinger managed to sell over 50 million of these floppy, tactile oddities. He stumbled upon a fundamental truth of parenting. Kids have a primal urge to throw things at their siblings' heads. The koosh ball was the perfect solution. A projectile soft enough to prevent bloodshed, but satisfying enough to make a point. Parents, desperate for a moment of non-violent peace, happily funded Stillinger's early retirement. You have to assume his yacht is named the Koosh Kaching. 25. Spencer Silver was a scientist at 3M who was trying to create an incredibly strong adhesive. He failed spectacularly. Instead, he created a bizarrely weak glue that barely stuck to anything. It was a useless invention, destined for the trash heap of scientific mistakes. That is, until a colleague, Art Fry, got annoyed that his paper bookmarks kept falling out of his hymn book at church. He slapped some of Silver's failed glue on the paper, and the Post-it note was born. It's a billion-dollar office supply that exists only because of a complete and total failure. It's comforting proof that sometimes your biggest mistakes can hold everything together. 26. One cat's unfortunate facial genetics became one woman's winning lottery ticket. Grumpy Cat, a feline whose face was locked in a state of permanent disdain, became an internet sensation overnight. Her owner, Tabitha Bundesen, quickly realized this unimpressed expression was a goldmine. The cat's scowl was licensed for an empire of merchandise: books, coffee drinks, calendars, and even a movie. Estimates put her earnings at around $100 million. Through it all, the cat remained completely unmoved by her fame and fortune, but her owner's bank account was purring loud enough for the whole world to hear. 27. The Tooth Tunes toothbrush was Hasbro's solution to a timeless problem: getting kids to brush their teeth for more than 3 seconds. Their genius idea was to create a toothbrush that blasted 2 minutes of a pop song directly into your skull via bone conduction. Kids were suddenly willing to scrub away, mesmerized by the muffled sounds of Justin Bieber rattling around in their brain. Hasbro sold over 4 million of these things at $10 apiece. It was a win-win-win. Kids got better dental checkups, parents got 2 blessed minutes of relative quiet, and Hasbro executives got very, very rich. 28. The premise of Angry Birds is, when you think about it, completely insane. You use a slingshot to launch kamikaze birds at pigs who have stolen their eggs and are hiding in poorly constructed buildings. Yet this simple, nonsensical physics game became a $7 billion global franchise. The Finnish company Rovio milked their creation for all it was worth, plastering those furious fouls on everything from plush toys and breakfast cereals to a full-blown Hollywood movie. It's a testament to the addictive power of simple destruction. The birds remained angry, the accountants remained ecstatic, and an entire generation learned that revenge is a dish best served via catapult. 29. For generations, a certain bathroom activity was a source of universal anxiety. Then Susie Batiste invented poo-pourri and turned that embarrassment into a $500 million empire. Her product was a simple before-you-go spray that promised to trap odors beneath a fragrant film of essential oils. But the real genius was the marketing. A viral ad featuring a prim, proper British woman discussing her bowel movements with cheeky confidence made the topic hilarious instead of horrifying. Humanity collectively decided it was okay to acknowledge reality, and then clicked Add to Cart. It's the ultimate business success story, bottling confidence and smelling all the way to the bank. 30. Just when you thought the pet industry couldn't get more ridiculous, someone invented cat wine. It's a non-alcoholic beet juice-infused beverage with names like Pinot Meow and Moscato, marketed to owners who want to share a glass of wine with their feline friends. Let's be clear, the cat doesn't want this. The cat would rather be napping or plotting to knock things off your counter. But the human gets a fantastic photo for Instagram, creating the illusion of a sophisticated, wine-tasting pet. For around $14 a bottle, it's a small price to pay for a viral post, and a brilliant way for a company to get rich off our need to humanize our animals. 31. The umbrella hat is the universal symbol for sacrificing all personal dignity for a tiny sliver of convenience. It's a product that turns your head into a sad, collapsible mushroom, yet it continues to sell by the thousands in every tourist trap and beachside kiosk. Inventor Robert Slobodian patented this fashion disaster back in 1987, and ever since, a gentle stream of royalties has been trickling into his bank account whenever the sun is too bright or the rain is too drizzly. It's a powerful reminder that if your invention is just lazy enough, people will wear their shame publicly, and you can laugh all the way to the bank, perfectly dry. 32. A company called Liquid Death looked at bottled water, the most boring beverage on the planet, and decided to rebrand it for heavy metal fans. They sell water, just plain, simple water, in a tallboy can that looks like a craft beer, with a skull logo and the tagline, "Murder your thirst." And it worked. By making hydration seem extreme and countercultural, founder Mike Cesario convinced people to pay a premium for something they can get from a tap. The company is now valued at over $700 million, proving that you can sell literally anything if you just make the packaging cool enough. 33. The Hutzler 571 Banana Slicer is a product that exists to solve a problem that has never, in the history of humanity, been a problem. It's a piece of yellow plastic shaped like a banana, designed to slice a banana into uniform pieces, a task that can be accomplished with a butter knife, a spoon, or even just by breaking it. The product became a viral sensation thanks to thousands of sarcastic Amazon reviews, mocking its profound uselessness. But here's the crazy part. The joke made it so famous that the company sold truckloads of them. It's the perfect example of people buying something not because they need it, but because the absurdity of its existence is just too funny to pass up. 34. The Flowbee was a device that promised professional-looking haircuts by connecting a set of clippers to your household vacuum cleaner. Pitched through relentless infomercials, this bizarre contraption looked like something a mad scientist would invent to groom his hedges. Yet inventor Rick Huntz sold over $200 million worth of them to people who decided that suction was a reasonable substitute for a trained barber. The ultimate seal of strange approval came when George Clooney, a man famous for his impeccable style, admitted to using one for years. It just goes to show that even Oscar-winning movie stars are sometimes willing to trust their hair to a modified shop vac. 35. Every now and then, TikTok serves up a cultural phenomenon that makes you question everything you know about food safety. Case in point, the pink sauce, a mysterious Pepto-Bismol-colored condiment that took over the internet. The initial launch was a masterclass in chaos, featuring exploding bottles, inconsistent coloring, and nutritional labels that seemed to be written by a chatbot having a stroke. But in a masterstroke of turning disaster into dollars, the creator, Chef P, leveraged the internet outrage into a national distribution deal with Walmart. She literally bottled the controversy and sold it for $10 a pop, proving that in modern America, you don't need a perfect product. You just need a viral disaster. 36. In the ultimate display of selling absolutely nothing, a company called Vitality Air began bottling fresh mountain air from the Canadian Rockies and selling it to people in polluted cities. For about $30, you could buy a can of air. This isn't a joke. Founders Moses Lamb and Troy Paquette created a luxury brand out of an invisible, odorless gas that is literally everywhere. The sheer audacity is breathtaking. They are shipping the environment to people whose environments are failing, and inhaling profits faster than their customers can take a breath of premium, grade-A oxygen. It's the most brilliantly stupid and profitable form of eco-irony ever conceived. 37. The Bored Ape. Yacht Club proved that in the 21st century, you don't need talent or a tangible product to get rich. You just need a good gimmick and a lot of hype. These were not fine works of art. They were crudely drawn cartoons of bored-looking monkeys. Yet, people were paying the price of a suburban home for the digital receipt that said they owned one. The founders sold the idea of an exclusive digital country club, and the market cap soared into the billions. It's a beautiful scam, where the creators just kept minting more cartoon apes and more real-life millions, proving that if the bubble is big enough, pixelated primates can fling gold. 38. For just $129, you too can find out that your rescue mutt is, in fact, a mutt. Pet DNA kits from companies like Embark have turned canine saliva into a multi-million-dollar industry. They prey on the modern pet owner's need to give their dog a rich, complex backstory. Owners get to post on social media that their beagle mix is actually 12% wolf and 4% ancient Tibetan terrier, giving them bragging rights at the dog park. Meanwhile, the dog continues its life of blissful ignorance, and the company's shareholders are the ones fetching all the treats. It's a solution to a problem that only exists in the owner's head. 39. In 1958, two entrepreneurs at a toy company named Wham-O took a simple bamboo ring used for exercise in Australia, remade it out of colorful plastic, and called it the hula hoop. What followed was a global phenomenon of hip-swiveling madness. Arthur Mellon and Richard Knurr sold an astonishing 25 million of these plastic circles in just 4 months. Think about that. They didn't invent a new technology or solve a world problem. They sold a tube of polyethylene, and it made them obscenely wealthy. It was a craze built on nothing but a simple, repetitive motion, proving that the American dream can sometimes be just a circle. 40. The fidget spinner was less of a toy and more of a collective nervous twitch that swept the globe in 2017. A simple device made of plastic and a ball bearing, it became the must-have accessory for anyone with a mild case of boredom. The tragic irony is that the original inventor, Catherine Hettinger, had let her patent lapse just a few years earlier because she couldn't afford the renewal fee. As a result, countless manufacturers spun her simple idea into a billion-dollar industry while she watched from the sidelines. It's a brutal lesson that sometimes having a great idea isn't enough. You also need to have it at the exact right, profitable moment. 41. The Shake Weight was an exercise device that looked like it had escaped from a late-night comedy sketch. Promising toned arms through dynamic inertia, it became a viral sensation and sold for $50 million in just 6 months. The true genius wasn't in the workout, but in its perfectly suggestive motion that made it impossible to ignore. While buyers at home were vigorously shaking their way to questionable results, the inventors were using their profits to vigorously shake cocktails on a private yacht. 42. The song Baby Shark is not music. It's a neurological weapon, an inescapable earworm designed in a lab to drive parents to the brink of insanity. This relentlessly repetitive ditty, accompanied by a simple dance, became the most viewed video in the history of YouTube. The entertainment company Pinkfong turned this toddler anthem into a merchandising juggernaut, spawning everything from talking plushies to breakfast cereals. That simple do-do-do-do-do-do melody became a modern-day ATM, turning a prehistoric predator into a machine that endlessly chomps on parents' wallets. The feeding frenzy never stops. 43. In the 1990s, the sign of a truly cool person was having a smiling, round-headed man bouncing on their car's antenna. Jack in the Box started by giving these antenna balls away as a promotion, but they became so popular that the company started selling them as collectibles. People willingly paid money for an item that actively increased their car's wind resistance and slightly worsened their gas mileage. It was a stroke of marketing genius. They convinced millions of drivers to pay for the privilege of turning their own vehicles into mobile advertisements, all while discovering a brand new radio frequency, Cha-Ching FM. 44. Silly bands were the kindergarten equivalent of the stock market. For a brief shining moment, these animal-shaped rubber bands were the most valuable currency on the playground. An entrepreneur named Robert Krook saw a similar product in Japan and decided to bring the idea to the US. The result was a nationwide craze that drove teachers and parents insane. At its peak, his company was making $200 million a year selling tiny, elastic bracelets that were destined to be lost in a couch cushion or snapped within a week. It was a perfect storm of cheap manufacturing and childhood obsession, stretching a simple idea into a fortune. 45. It was a furry, robotic creature that looked like an owl had a disastrous affair with a hamster. It blinked its giant, soulless eyes, wiggled its ears, and would wake up in the middle of the night to speak a demonic-sounding language called Furbish. And yet, the Furby became the must-have toy of the late 90s, selling over 40 million units. It was a parent's nightmare, a creepy, needy robot that demanded constant attention. But its blend of supposed artificial intelligence and unsettling cuteness was a recipe for a retail phenomenon, proving that kids will beg for anything, especially if it looks like it might steal their soul while they sleep. 46. The creators of Cards Against Humanity built an empire by being professional trolls. Their entire business model is based on nihilistic humor and shocking stunts. On Black Friday one year, they removed their game from their website and sold boxes of actual literal bull manure for $6. It sold out immediately. Another year, they sold absolutely nothing for $5, and thousands of people bought it, earning the company over $70,000. Each stunt is a masterclass in publicity, proving that if your brand is built on absurdity, your customers will pay for the punchline every single time. 47. The Slinky, one of the most iconic toys ever made, exists purely by accident. A naval engineer named Richard James was working with tension springs when he knocked one off a shelf and watched it gracefully walk its way to the floor. In that moment of clumsiness, a multi-million-dollar idea was born. That's it. That's the whole origin story. For decades, over 300 million units have been sold. It's a toy that does one simple, mesmerizing thing and spends half its life in a hopelessly tangled knot at the bottom of a toy chest. It's a testament to the fact that sometimes the most profound discoveries are the ones that simply fall into your lap. 48. There comes a time in every man's life when he looks in the mirror and thinks, "My face is cold, but I wish I also looked like a lumberjack from a fantasy novel." For those men, the crocheted beard beanie was born. Jeff Phillips posted a picture of his goofy invention online as a joke, but was immediately flooded with orders. Within a year, a gag gift had turned into a six-figure business. It's the perfect blend of practical warmth and utter ridiculousness, allowing you to keep your chin warm while simultaneously ensuring no one will take you seriously. It's a warm face, a cold dose of reality, and a very hot profit margin. 49. The Snuggie wasn't just a product, it was a cultural surrender flag made of fleece. This blanket with sleeves gave humanity permission to officially give up. It became a national punchline, turning millions of people into cozy, lazy wizards. But while the world was laughing, the company was quietly counting over $500 million in sales. It stands as the ultimate monument to stupid discoveries. A simple robe worn backwards that perfectly captured the spirit of an era, proving that the road to riches is paved with our collective desire to do absolutely nothing. And there they are. 49 monuments to the idea that you don't have to be a genius to be rich. But we know the list isn't complete. What's the one bafflingly stupid product you've seen make a fortune? Go on, head to the comments and write us point number 50. If this video inspired your own terrible yet brilliant idea, repay us with a like and subscribe for more proof that reality is beautifully broken.